Hi everyone, welcome to the 65th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Zicast, and today I'm joined by advertiser Taryn Klein.
Hi.
I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Chen for technical directing once again. So Taryn, on here I get to interview people and get to know more about them, so let's kick things off and you tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah, so I'm a second-year advertising major in the 3+1 program with double minors in marketing and social media. And then I'm also on the Quinnipiac Kickline Dance team, a co-founder and PR officer for the new Quinnipiac Dance Collective, and in the Gamma Phi Beta sorority.
Interesting. And where are you from?
Oh yeah, I'm from upstate New York near Albany.
And you and I can relate in terms of doing a million different things on campus, so I'm excited to unpack that and ask you our first topic, which is what led you into advertising and branding?
Yeah, so from a young age, I've always been kind of like a creative person. I remember like I would stand on the side of my street by my house and like try and sell homemade friendship bracelets to the passing cars. And then as I got a little bit older, I'd like make content on my grandma's iPad with my sister. And so then when I kind of got to an age where I could run my own content platforms, I kind of really dove into that, and I was always really interested in like the idea of marketing. So when I was looking at like universities and programs to pursue a career, I really liked the creative aspect, and that led me to advertising.
Are there any specific things that influenced you?
To
like
go
types
and
of
like
content and yeah.
So I just like social media in general. I loved like at the time it was Musical.ly, so now TikTok. That's kind of where I started like my beginnings for my own content platforms, but back, like I said, with my grandma on her iPad, we do like mock YouTube type videos. So
what did those videos look like?
Mostly me like coming up with little story plot lines and like directing cameras and like telling people what to do a lot of the time, but my grandma and my sister would get in on the action, and we'd just like make like goofy little content videos and long form that kind of turned into short as I got older.
Interesting. So maybe you were a film student in a different life.
Maybe.
Telling stories, which is what this is all about. So kind of leading us into our next topic, what are some internships you've worked at and kind of what have they taught you?
Yeah, so my most like recent job experience would be doing like freelance graphic design work. I did it for a new New York like hiking water trail that's going to be released, and basically what I did for them is I did like content posts for Instagram and Facebook and then captioning. That taught me a lot about like just the professional atmosphere, because that was my first experience really doing anything outside of coursework. So it taught me a lot about how to be creative within the guidelines of a client's ask. Other than that, I did have the opportunity to have an internship currently that I did turn down just because of like timing for their ask compared to like my current schedule, which was something hard to do. Like I learned how to like say no for what was right for me, but I think that it was a good connection to make because I think I could go back to them.
Interesting. And sometimes saying no in regards to professional thing is very difficult to do, but it's always important to know kind of where your interests align. And I'm also curious, kind of like, since I do a lot of social media work for my own podcast, I'm curious, what did you enjoy about working in social media?
Honestly, I like the creative freedoms that come with it. I personally like love social media for my own personal usage, like marketing myself. So getting to do it for like a company was something that I thought was really unique and interesting. I just really love like being able to creatively express a message through image and like textual elements. Like I could geek out about it.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy geeking out about it. And of course, it's all like storytelling, like I mentioned before. And it's interesting when you compare your own feeds to the feeds of like where your job's looking for, because my feed is just like brain rot. So it's hard when I'm like trying to do it for your job. Like how would you say like your like the content you consume, how would you say that overlaps with like work you've done?
I mean, I think we all have our brain rot doom scrolling content that we come upon and come across, but I enjoy like in my free time just like designing graphics or like templates. So I think like being someone who is like a very visual learner and like visually inclined, it's like fun for me personally to like get to like design the aspects of it and like have it be laid out. And like even though there are guidelines that everyone wants you to follow, of course, for whatever they might be asking the client, there's like a lot of creative freedom there. So I really like that aspect of like getting to visually like picture something in my mind and then like see it come to life. And that's like I think one of the best aspects,
which is one of the coolest aspects of being a creative person.
Yeah.
And kind of on like the other side, what would you say you dislike about working in social media?
Analytics, I think. Yeah, like it's a lot of like gauging your gauging the correct audience, making sure it's targeting the audience you want it to, or even just like it is kind of hard to say to someone like, oh, you have creative freedom, but you also can't do this, have to touch on this. Like it's kind of an interesting place to be in. Or I think another thing is creating content, and if the client doesn't necessarily like it, having to like re-envision it and redo it, or maybe creating something that they are happy with that maybe you are not. So
because it's crazy with social media is that you could kind of do everything right and it still might not work.
Exactly.
If there's something off in the algorithm that doesn't quite hit,
or it's not perceived correctly.
Exactly. And it's just, it could be like one little thing and you might not be able to recognize it, and it just makes you go crazy.
Yeah.
But to continue talking about the work you do, I'd like to ask you about the work you do with your sorority and kind of what that means to you.
Yeah, so my most notable position I hold in my sorority is as external social chair. So my job is kind of like organizing the events between any Quinnipiac or Greek life organization to kind of like ensure that there's more networking and like a community basis there.
And kind of, how is that job like helping you, would you say?
Honestly, it's really helped me to like put myself out there, because honestly the whole part of the job is like approaching people and asking them like to organize an event with you or like come together with you to plan something. So going from just like having to have the idea and reaching out to coordination to informing my sorority members, it's just like helped me really branch out and learn how to like market myself, but not only myself, but the organization.
You would say that there's an overlap because you do social media work for that as well too, right?
I try to. Like, I design some of the graphics. We do have another designated position for that I did apply for, but I did not have at the moment. But I do like my own like posts and like graphics for that as well, and I'm hoping to do hopefully like merch at one point.
Interesting. Any merch ideas?
Oh, plenty.
You can share with us?
I mean, I'm gonna keep them tucked away for now, but maybe we'll see them soon.
I keep them on the back burner.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned earlier on the Kickline. So if you don't mind telling us a bit about like what you do for that and just what you enjoy about it.
Yeah, so Kickline is the first organization I joined when I came to campus, because I've been dancing for 16 years. So I wanted to keep that community with me when I came to school. And basically, we just perform at the basketball games, we do Q-thon, sometimes we do some sorority events, and we practice twice a week. And it was just a really great way for me to like meet people who have the similar interests as me and build that community here on campus. So
any like fun stories from it that you can dig out?
We like to have like little game nights, so we're planning our next one. That's gonna be really fun. Or just like carpooling with the girls, like they're all super sweet and nice, and it's like one of the things I've enjoyed most about my time here.
I've had an Ice Cat on here in the past. Is that kind of similar?
It's similar in the sense that like we're both considered like cheerleader type category for respective sports. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty similar in the terms of like size of the team and like team bonding and like practice schedules. So yeah.
And would you say that there's an overlap between that and anything else that you do?
Definitely an overlap between like Kickline and, like I said, the Quinnipiac Dance Collective Club that I'm one of the co-founders of myself, and two of the other co-founders are also on Kickline with me.
Yeah, and which leads us perfectly into our next topic, which is founding and doing PR for the new dance club and kind of what that's teaching you.
Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to like form a club that was non-audition, because all of the other dance groups on campus you have to audition for and are very like high commitment. They have practices, they have performances. We wanted something to be like a little more relaxed. So a group of 5 of us came together and we created this club, and being like an advertising major, marketing and social media being my sub-focuses, I took on being the PR officer, which has taught me a lot about time management.
Oh, I bet.
And pre-planning posts. But I've enjoyed it greatly. Like, the Instagram is my baby. So.
Oh, yeah, as I know with my own.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, that's interesting you bring up the audition, so you could kind of like teach people more. And
yeah, so it's like more of like a class style than a practice style. Like something more traditional, like bringing people back to like their studio, or if you've never taken a class before, we want you to be able to come in and like try it out.
Yeah, which is great, because someone needs to teach me how to Dougie at some point. So I think that's cool, and that's something where you probably don't need as much experience.
Yeah,
I'd expect, and it's just a way for to get new people into dance. So something that you're very passionate about. And since we've talked about all these different things, I'd like to ask you how you balance them.
Yeah, a lot of it is done through, like, I use virtual digital like scheduling tools. I like to credit myself as being good with time management. It's kind of failing me right now, but
oh, trust me, you're not alone. It's probably more than half the kids here would say the same thing.
But I try to like also like prioritize things that are important to me. Like, of course, I prioritize like my schoolwork. I'm always like work hard, like then play later. But for me, I'm a big social person, so making sure that I definitely get like that social time is kind of like my reward.
Quite literally, as the social chair. So in the name, and that's really telling. And do you have any like tricks or advice you'd give people in terms of time management?
I think it's important to not only like focus on what's coming up right now, but focus ahead. Like, I always try, being on time for me is being ahead. So once I'm like lined up to be perfectly on time, that's late for me. I like to give myself that wiggle room, and I feel like there's like comfort in that. I also like to surround myself with other people while I'm working that are also working. I feel like it motivates me. I don't have as much FOMO. I
know like the 15 minutes early is on time, late you're fired kind of mentality. And that is also telling with the surrounding yourself around the right people, because that's how they inspire you and that's how they keep you on your game. And to kind of move on from your work and get into yourself personally, how about you tell us some fun facts about yourself, like things people don't know about you?
Things people don't know about me. I think my biggest one is the fact that I gave a TEDx talk at 14.
That's right. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so that was about kind of like the lack of aspiration people feel to have now. Like, they kind of are more easily driven to like take the shortcut route or give up, and I was very passionate about that at the age of 14, so that's kind of what I did. But I had the step in the door from my English teacher from 8th grade. So
did that open up any doors for you doing that?
I mean, I'd say it did. I wrote my college essay on it, so probably my entire college career rode on that fun fact. So
well, we could find that on YouTube, right?
Yeah, you could. You could find it on TED too. And
did that kind of teach you anything in that whole process?
I mean, definitely taught me about like digital footprint, because it is definitely still out there. I mean, back then, like, I was definitely not as like outgoing or like socially out there as I am now. Like, I would classify myself as an introvert then. I'd classify myself as an extrovert now. So definitely just like putting my foot out there in the world of public speaking. Like, if you had told little Taryn now that she'd be sitting here doing this, I don't think she'd believe you.
You talk about digital footprint. That's a good digital footprint.
It is a good digital footprint.
And moving onwards, I'd like to ask you kind of what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
That's a tough one. I love a lot of things. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, what kind of thing?
It's like one thing you love. I mean, we talked about like dance and social media marketing. Anything else that you'd say that you love?
I love traveling. Like, I love going on like little adventures, little side quests. I like staying busy. I like being like around people, having something to do.
Yeah.
Something I dislike? Could be anything.
Anything. Even like pet peeves.
Ooh, a pet peeve? Oh, I hate loud like breathers. And chewers. Yes, I hate it. Drives me crazy. Or like people who can't admit when they're wrong.
That's a much deeper one.
It is. That was me for a little bit. I think that's why I hate it.
Okay.
Now.
It's always the things we see in ourselves.
Isn't it?
That project out into other people that we dislike.
Yeah.
And you talk about traveling. Any place you want to go to or have gone to that you would like to bring up?
Dream destination would be Greece. I really want to go to Greece. But like Mykonos, like the islands.
Yeah.
That would be super cool. Or places I'm going. I'm very excited. I'm going to London in May. So that I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, awesome. For like a study abroad program?
Yeah, for the comm course. Yeah.
That's awesome. Any kind of hopes with that or any like goals you have?
I've been interested, like I said, I've been interested in working abroad, like living abroad, like post-grad. So I think that I've never been out of the country. So I think it'll be interesting to see like if that's something that I actually might enjoy doing. I'm just excited.
That's very exciting. And I always say I feel that if people can, to try to study abroad while they're in college, because it just teaches you so much about yourself. Like I went to LA for a semester, which feels like studying abroad because it's so different from like Hamden, Connecticut.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It teaches you all about yourself and gives you those like very necessary life experiences. And talking about your goals and hopes, like to ask you, what are some of your hopes and dreams professionally or in general?
Yeah, I mean, professionally, I would love to work in branded content and experiences or influencer talent management for music or beauty industries. Ideally, like e.l.f., the beauty company. That would be great. Honestly, like personal goals wise, I just want to be happy, like living my best life.
Yeah, and I think you're well on your way there. And I know you're not a big movie person, but I'd like to ask you, what are some of your favorite movies?
You're right, I am not a big movie person, but I think if I had to pick like one of my absolute favorites, it would be like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or The Proposal.
Awesome. So 2 rom-coms, that's kind of more of your speed?
Not even really. I'm not a big rom-com person, but something about Sandra Bullock and like those early 2000s got me.
The kind of like the whole kind of nostalgic kind of energy of those kinds of films.
I think it just reminds me of like happy times with like my family, like my mom, my sister. So just like the memories associated with the movies, maybe not necessarily the movie themselves.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. And overall, Taryn, I'd like to thank you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I greatly admire all the things you do, the kind of work you have in this social media field that I find myself in. That's very confusing, but very necessary in our modern day. So I'd like to thank you for coming on, telling us a bit about that, and just sharing all these cool experiences.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And as always, this is Ryan Zicast for the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.